All right, let's talk Houston Texans. Training camp is upon us. Exciting time across the entire National Football League. And this Houston squad obviously heading into a massive season, changing in the coaching staff on the offensive side, looking to build off the momentum of back-to-back division titles. And it looks like, based on some recent reporting, the Texans have a new starter lined up at a critical position. Exciting update for the Texans, which we'll get to in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, this Houston Texans squad obviously heading into a season with high expectations, made a lot of changes throughout the offseason, most of them good. And when it comes to one young rookie in particular, we're talking Arianti Ursary, second-rounder offensive tackle out of Minnesota. Got off to a great start, built a lot of momentum when it came to rookie minicamps and OTAs, and he is carrying that all the way through to the point where now the Texans coaching staff believe he's going to be a massive impact day one kind of guy. We're talking a new starter for Houston. Let's pull up our first graphic here, first report. This is according to Will Kunkel over on X. He posted the Texans' first offensive line combination for the first team period of the day. It had the left tackle was Cam Robinson, left guard Lincoln Tomlinson, center Jared Patterson, right guard Titus Howard, and that right tackle you can see starting with the ones, running with the first string, Arianti Ursary. All right, Ursary is a guy that obviously did a lot of good things over the course of preparation for training camp. He was very impressive during the draft process. We talked about that a lot. With Laramie Tunsil gone, that was a big hole to address, a big void to address. A lot of people were looking at the Houston Texans, this 21st ranked pass protection grade, according to the folks over at PFF. Pass blocking was going to be a critical issue. Tunsil gone, people expecting big bleep back. There are going to be some issues. Now we're going to see very early on if Ursary is up to the task. The Texans coaching staff, they obviously believe he is. Again, second round rookie, getting reps with the ones. Obviously a great sign for him, getting a lot of opportunities to get ready to be week one starter. And I think that's where the Texans are planning him to be. But it wasn't just this team period. There were additional team periods as well. According to at Landry Locker, again, another post on X, it said the O-line to start the second team period that happened later in the practice. At left tackle, running with the ones was Ursary once again. Scruggs at left guard, center at Andrews, right guard Howard, and right tackle was Blake Fisher. I think the first post, the first team period, is more indicative of the actual first string, but the fact that Ursary, again, is still getting burned with the ones and later team periods, I think is an indication that the Texans coaching staff, the offensive staff, offensive line coach D'Amico Ryans, everybody wants to make sure that Ursary gets nothing but repetition with the first string. He gets familiar with the plays they're going to call, the people around him, the personnel, learn to work and groove together. I'm honestly not a fan of switching from left to right tackle. I understand why you do it because you're trying to figure out the best five and move it around, and they'll probably refine it as we get closer to the regular season. But I'd rather you have a guy, especially a rookie. It's hard going from college to the NFL, obviously. Making him do two positions, a little bit of a concern, putting more on his plate. But I guess the flip side is the Texans coaches think Ursary is really up to the task, which is obviously a great sign for him. And we did some data and did some analytics on Ursary a couple weeks ago, I think maybe a month and a half ago at this point, but it's worth bringing up again to highlight how good of a pass protector he was in college. So if we go ahead and pull up our chart here, we're comparing Ursary with some other of his colleagues, his peers that were selected in the NFL draft just a few months ago in April. So starting left to right, we got Will Campbell, we got Ozzie Trapillo, and we got Anthony Belton. These are all three quality prospects. Will Campbell was a top 10 pick. Trapillo, the Bears, he's completing for a starting job at left tackle. So these are quality guys. And of course, you see Arianti Ursary over there on the far right. And this statistic here is no pressure percentage. This is the percentage of snaps, pass blocking snaps, where you did not surrender a pressure. And you can see Ursary second to Belton, just right behind him among his peers here, significantly better than Ozzie Trapillo, who again is competing for a starting job with the Bears, and better than Will Campbell, who was one of the best offensive tackles in the draft. And just to make sure everyone gets the context here, these are great numbers by all these guys across the board. None of these guys are slouches. So again, this is a really good group. When you dig into the weeds and really just kind of narrow the scale, you can see the scale there, the y-axis going from 90 to 98%. So we're talking very narrow, top of the line tackles. Arianti Ursary handles himself, ranks very well. But when you look at the no pressure percentage for true pass set situations, this is like 3rd and 8, right? What you're looking for a tackle, right? What the Texans really needed help on. Of course, we go back to the New York Jets game, that debacle on primetime, for example, getting some quality tackles that can protect on those obvious passing situations. Here's where Arianti Ursary shines. You can see he's better than everybody. Better than Campbell, better than Trapillo, better than Belton. Significantly better, in fact. And I think this is why the Texans are so excited. He is, based on his collegiate career, based on stylistically what we've seen through OTAs, mini camps, and now into training camp, perfectly stylistically aligned to be a classical pass protection left tackle, right? I think that's where he's going to end up playing. Could end up being a right tackle before it's all said and done. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I think he's a prototypical left tackle. They may have him play right based on needs, but wherever he lines up, he is a great pass protector. I think he is one of these pieces that's going to allow CJ Stroud to have another beat and hit some of these great receivers. Like, that was a problem for them last year. Obviously, the lack of protection in big moments, taking sacks, it really made CJ Stroud regress statistically, even though he didn't regress as a player. It was a protection issue, also a play calling issue. Play calling, we think, has been solved. Hopefully it's been solved. I think protection, still a work in progress, but what we're seeing, obviously, from this young rookie getting starting reps is an indication that the Texans believe he's a day one starter. In fact, they're treating him like a starter. And when you look at the numbers here and you look at the statistics, the analytics, it's clear the reason why. He is was a really great pass protector in college, and seems very likely to translate that to the National Football League. All right, threw a lot of data at you guys, threw a lot of interesting points, but I'm going to ask you a question here before we dive a little deeper into this topic. Texans fans, in the comment section below, which rookie in this entire class, there's obviously a healthy chunk of them, are you expecting to have the most impact day one? Is it Ursary? Is it one of the receivers? Is it somebody else? Give us the Texans rookie you're expecting to be a day one impact player. Put them in the comment section below. Really want to hear from you guys. And while you're down there, make sure you sign up for our weekly newsletter via the Substack platform. 100% free. We're not trying to sell you anything. It's just extra content, links to content we like, extra articles, our thoughts on a few things. Plus, we highlight the comment of the week. So if you have a great comment, you may find yourself in there. So make sure you check out in the description box below. There's a link to our Substack platform weekly newsletter. Make sure you sign up for it there. Would really appreciate it. But we look at the Houston Texans. I'm just going to go back here to the first string, their first offensive line combination, and you can kind of understand exactly the concern, right? Because across the board, Laken Tomlinson, solid, not spectacular. Cam Robinson, solid, not spectacular. I'm a big fan of Patterson here. Titus Howard, again, solid, not spectacular. They're a decent group. Offensive line in terms of pass protection, in my opinion here, they're not an elite bunch. A lot of it's going to really err on, no pun intended, Ariante Ursary. Can he be a competent quality player right out the gate? Because there's no elite offensive lineman here where we can leave that guy on an island one-on-one and we're never going to have any issues, right? He's just going to be the guy that we never have to slide protection to. We don't have to give him help. He can handle it. There's a lot of good guys on this list, and I think Ursary has a really good chance to become that kind of player, certainly his pass protection situations, but there's no one elite. And if there's no one elite, it means you're going to have to make sure you have no weaknesses. And one way you can help mitigate that as an offensive line is to have good working coherence where everyone knows each other, has worked together. You know the buddy to your left, buddy to your right. You know everyone in the group, starters, backups. You all know how each other plays, strengths, weaknesses, how to work together. That's a way you can take a solid offensive line and make it spectacular. That's how you get where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I think that's what the Texans are trying to do by getting Ursary a lot of first string reps early. Obviously, it's because they think he's a good football player. And again, based on the data, he is. But I think they really want to make sure Ursary can slide into this offensive line, integrate with this group here, and get off to a great start. Because if this group can meld together, if this group can figure each other out, then there's nothing holding this Texans offense back, right? We know play calling, like I said before, has hopefully been solved. CJ Stroud's an all-pro. He's awesome. Tight end position, Schultz has his flaws. I think you look at, in general, it's a good group. I think there's some things to work on there. Really excited about the second-year man out of Ohio State. I think Stover's got a really good potential here. I think injuries derailed his rookie year. I'm expecting to have a bigger impact than people think. A lot of big plays potentially coming his way this upcoming season. And at wide receiver, they're absolutely fantastic. So I think it's going to be a great group up front offensively. The question is going to be, can this offensive line meld? And the fact that the Texans are like, we're putting out our starting five the way it's going to be now. We got to take advantage of every second of training camp, every second of preseason to get ready to meld this group together, to get everyone on the same page. I think it's the right move by D'Amico Ryans, and I think it's the right approach to take, right? You're trying to get these five on the screen here, these five right there, to get on the same page as early as possible, so that way you don't put your quarterback, running back, receivers in bad situations. Because this Texans team, we found it out after the past couple seasons, if we're being totally honest. Going to Baltimore in the playoffs, tough proposition. Going to Kansas City in the playoffs, tough proposition. In a admittedly weaker AFC South, even though I think it's going to be a little bit better this year. I think Jacksonville could be a little bit better. I think the Titans are still going to be terrible, but I think they're heading in the right direction in a lot of ways. I think Houston is clearly the best team in the bunch. The Colts are such a wild card. I really don't know what to think of the Colts. I think the Texans are the best team of the bunch. The question is going to be, can they win the division and get a deep seed, a good seed, right? Can they win and go 12-5 and not 10-7 or 11-6? Can they get to 13 wins and maybe even even get a first round bye, get that 1 seed, right? That's what's going to be the Texans as they try and take that next evolution. That way they don't have to go to Baltimore. They don't have to go to Kansas City in the playoffs. Teams have to go to Houston. I think that's what they're going for right now, and they're starting that by getting their starting 5 together now. They're not waiting. They're not saying, well, we don't want to hurt the rookie's confidence or slow go into it. They're like, no, these are our best 5. Get them on the field, get them working together, so that way we can make this unit well together. And I think a big part of that's going to be Ariante Ursary. Again, off to a great start in rookie minicamps, great through OTAs, great through mandatory minicamps. So far, we're going to have to see how he shakes out over training camp. But the fact that they think he's a starter and they're basically naming him a starter is a great sign. This is a smart coaching staff. They wouldn't be doing this for dumb reasons. I'm expecting a lot of big things out of Ariante Ursary and this entire Houston Texans offense in 2025.